What's going on, everyone? Well, Tom MacDonald has done it again. Figured I'd make a quick reaction video, as I'm sure everybody else is going to have one of their own, but I owe Tom an apology, and I'll explain why in a minute. So I discovered Tom back in February, I believe it was, when Fake Woke dropped, and he was doing an interview with Glenn Beck. And from that moment, I pretty much was hooked. I was like, man, that sounds pretty cool. I'm going to go check it out. Fake Woke, and then he was scrolling through some of his stuff that was already out. No Response, epic song. White Boy, I Hate Hip Hop, If I Were Black, to name a few. And from that moment, I was like, damn, how have I not heard of this guy? And couldn't wait for the videos to drop. Got that one. And couldn't wait to hear what else this guy's got, and was deeply impressed that he was doing this himself. Him and his girlfriend Nova Rockefeller, another very talented rapper in her own right. His best friend Brandon, I listened to his live stream where he was talking about how he met Brandon, and how he met when he had his first event, when he met Nova. He was rapping, and he had a song, throw your drink at the DJ, and somebody actually did whip a drink at Nova's brother, who was the DJ. Dude, I about spit my beer over my fucking computer when you told that story. That was hilarious. I could totally see that happening. But anyways, I'll be honest. The reason I owe Tom an apology is I was one of those where, when I first heard the rumors that Tom was trying to buy a track that was produced by M, I was a little put off by that, but not because it was more personal reasons to do with M than it was with Tom. Because I was one of those where, I was in high school when the Slim Shady LP came out, and was hooked with M's art, and then I was standing in line at Target when the Eminem show came out, and they were like, dude, 2 per person, and they sold out immediately. People couldn't get enough of M back in the day. And was with him from, when he had, his work with D12, then 8 Mile came out, and he had Encore and Relapse, and then he had his hiatus for a while until Not Afraid came out. He got his radio station, but then, then he got political. It's like, dude, if you're a fan of Trump or anything that Trump does, whether you're a diehard Trumpster or whether you just, find yourself more leaning on the conservative end, it's like, if you like anything that has to do with President Trump, then fuck you, I don't want you as a fan. And I was like, I felt hurt by that, as I'm sure a lot of other people were. So M kind of fell out. So for me, then when I found out that Tom, who's an amazing artist, he's independent, was even trying to get validation from M, I was like, what the fuck are you doing, Tom? Dude, you are an amazing artist. You don't need M. You don't need anybody from the music industry. It's you and Nova. You come up with everything on your own. And Tom had his video that came out where he was talking about, addressing some of that. And he goes, you should be happy for me. Shut the fuck up. And I kind of thought about that for a minute. I'm like, he's right. He's got a very good point. So I'm going to shut the fuck up, and I'm going to see what he does with it. And I went back and I saw how the bidding went from 20 to 40 to people trying to, organizations even trying to buy this beat so that Tom couldn't get his hands on it, and then all the fanboys going crazy when Tom's name was at the bottom with a winning bid of $100,000. And I'm sitting there still thinking, man, you won, but fuck, dude, you just spent $100,000. M doesn't even want our money, man. He doesn't like us anymore as fans. We don't identify with him politically. He doesn't want anything to do with us. But then again, listen to what Tom said. Shut the fuck up. You should be happy for me. Because, he gave M credit even at that point. Says, this is the guy who inspired me to become a rapper. So, okay, I'm going to see what you do with it. And just watching all the white knights come out in M's defense. Oh my God, it's going to be terrible. He's going to take M's art, and he's going to shit all over Eminem with it. And I'll be honest, I thought for a second that was what he was going to do. He had that veiled swipe at him in Fake Woke, used to gay bash and murder his mom, but he doesn't want fans if they voted for Trump. That was not a diss, but it was a fact, and it was kind of a swipe, your hypocrisy. But I wanted to see where he was going to go with it. And then the song dropped. And I just sat there speechless listening to it. I had to listen to it 2 or 3 times just to get all of what he was saying in. Tom spent $100,000 to say thank you. Think about that for a minute. Who else would have done that? If any of these other rappers, let's say even if the bid wasn't $100,000, let's say it was something more manageable. Let's say it was like, $8,000 or $10,000, which is still a lot of money to the vast majority of us. But let's say somebody, M had a beat and the winning bid was 10 grand. I almost guarantee you that all the rappers out there would have used that for them. You know what? I paid for it, and I'm going to make this about me, and I'm going to turn this into money for me. Tom didn't do that. He spent $100,000, or if you do the math on the 3 minutes and 40-something odd seconds the song is, $30,000 a minute to say thank you to Eminem. He didn't have to do that, but he did. Which just shows why his fans love him, why people are, why Tom is attracting the people he's attracting. When he does his live streams where he thanks his fans, and he doesn't really like to get thanks himself. I've been there. I mean, I've actually had him read a few of my comments where I'm like, dude, your music is awesome, man. Thanks. Thanks for sending me the autographed merch that you sent me. He goes, no, thank you. And M, even in my opinion, M and I, my opinion of him fell apart a little bit when he had that little stunt. And I gotta wonder why'd you do that? I mean, if the country is essentially 50-50 one way or the other, why would you risk alienating half of the entire country in terms of your fans? You got so much money you don't care at this point. That's how I took it. But Tom spent that money to say thank you to M in an epic way. Say, look, we're both white, we both have blue eyes, we're both rappers, and acknowledged M for inspiring him to become what he became. And I actually had to think about that for a minute and kind of revise my opinions of M, because you figure there was no YouTube for M to become independent. I mean, he had to come up through the industry. And that's one of the reasons I was a little on the bitter side. It says, if Dre wouldn't have discovered you and gave you that shot at a huge risk to him back in the day, you'd be filling fucking potholes working for the DOT. You'd be doing some bullshit job in Detroit somewhere. Or maybe you would have drank yourself to death or overdosed in a ditch somewhere. The fans, and we saved you from that life. And then to shit on the fans. I mean, so that's why I felt a little miffed about him, but Tom was right. If there, M had to go through what he went through to pave the way for people like Tom to be taken seriously. And if it weren't for Tom, I probably wouldn't have even thought about that. You get a little on the emotional side. So my reaction to the video is, it just shows the kind of class that Tom has, that despite the fact that the two of them probably don't agree on anything politically, on a personal level, that he is willing to spend that kind of money and then produce the song and put the work in that it took to create that, to say thank you, on top of risking the fan reaction. I mean, there's going to be people that are going to shit all over Tom for doing this. It's like, bro, you blew a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to buy an Eminem-produced track, and you didn't shit all over Eminem for it. And there's going to be other people that hopefully look at it like, M fans, we were wrong about you. You didn't diss M. You didn't come out and haha, na 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 na. I got your beat, and I'm just going to make all this money, and I'm going to do it at your expense. He didn't do that either. And I didn't expect either one of those things. And for that's why I said in the beginning of this, I owe Tom an apology. Tom, I'm sorry. I was one of those where, when I first heard about this, I went a little wobbly on you. I didn't trust you to do what you were going to do. I was a little on the emotional side. I says, you don't need M, you don't need anybody else in the industry to validate you. What are you doing? And I didn't trust you. But I did, in the respect of, I like what you've done so far. I'm going to see where you go with this, and you exceeded any expectation that I had. And again, thank you. You've really proven who you are as an artist yet again, and I cannot wait to see what else you got in store. Thank you so much, Tom. I really hope that you see this video. If you don't, that's cool as well, but I had to throw my 2 cents out there because I feel that I owed you an apology as a fan. So thank you again. I'm sorry for doubting you. Love the art and can't wait to see what else you got in store. Thank you so much.